Alright, guys, so I'm trying to do a little bit of fun recording here. I haven't done just a casual record in quite a bit now, but dude, I'm gonna go for it. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I kind of want to talk about small business planning. I'm not like super like the most knowledgeable person. So the things I'm saying are like very beginner speed. I am not knowledgeable enough to really talk about like tax write-offs and all that kind of stuff. But I do kind of want to talk about small businesses as that pertains to, you know, side hustles. And so, you know, I do kind of want to talk about that. Small business, side hustles, and just kind of the whole general of, you know, what that really looks like. So, when it comes to things like, you know, side hustles and small businesses, and drinking energy drinks while driving. Usually the main points that I would want to keep in mind, and this isn't professional advice, but the main points that I would probably want to keep in mind are to mostly try and, you know, you basically want to get traffic to your business. That's usually the main issue, right? I mean, for a while now I've been talking about podcasting, and excuse my distraction because I'm driving, so I do have to pay attention to the road. But I've got like an hour drive, so an hour 7 minutes now. It was like an hour 9 minutes, but yeah, an hour 7 minutes. So, you know, I'd rather just ramble a bit. Because I've been having this on my mind, especially today, for some reason. You know, sometimes I like long drives and sitting in meetings and things like that, because, you know, my mind wanders. Now I know in meetings, yeah, you're supposed to pay attention. You gotta pay attention. I was focused, but there were kind of, you know, I wouldn't call it downtime. Like, it was a very focused meeting, but a lot of listening. So I guess one thing is building a portfolio, at least so people can see your work. Because if you don't have a portfolio, it's going to be hard for people to really trust your work. You know, show proof that you know what you're doing. Or even if you don't fully know what you're doing, but like all the way, but, you know, if you know more than the person who's trying to hire you to do a job of a sort, then that might be good enough. And especially if your rates are good, you know, have work to show for it. So, for example, there's a company that I hire out that helps me with podcast traffic. Now, the traffic that they send me is hard on my end to trace, but the numbers are there, so I would say it's valuable. I don't know if they do exactly what they promise as far as numbers, but they're also not bad. For the price, I feel like they did better than what I would have been able to kind of just do on my own. Like, it kind of jump-started things for me. And so for me, that was worth it, because I was like, to organically build a podcast, it takes so much time and effort. And I'm not against putting in time and effort, but I've got other things I need to be putting time and effort into, such as a full-time job and other, part-time work. And so I can't be adding too many jobs, like, there's only so many jobs a person can do in a week, and especially if there are certain ones that aren't always making money, but partly a lot of it is hobby-based too, so that kind of helps to have like hobby-based work, or hobby-based gigs, or hobby-based, just anything kind of hobby-based kind of helps, because it's like, I'm going to be doing it anyways, right? So having a portfolio is definitely a good way to go. The issue with portfolios is that you have to put in the work to have a portfolio. Now, portfolios can mean anything from reviews to like samples, sample work, reviews, like people reviewing your work, you doing work for somebody and them putting a review on your site or anywhere, or giving you any kind of feedback, clipping out the good feedback, posting it on your site. You'll probably have a good a good way of starting things off there. And going from that phase, like, I don't know if I would necessarily recommend trying to get business if you don't have any kind of work to show. I think it helps to have work to show, because at least people kind of understand what you do. But also, a portfolio can be limited, right? If you don't have, proof of all the types of work that you perform, and people are just kind of like, well, you don't have proof of it, that can make things a little bit harder. So one thing that I would say I would like to combat or challenge is those hype videos, hype content that's online. It drives me up the wall, because I know how much they fib and lie. Now, I've talked on this podcast before about Biaheza. Now, I'm not saying he lies or fibs, but I'm saying, he's probably one of the people that I would say, when I've tried what he mentioned, it worked. But one issue that the people do not tell you, one issue that they do not ever tell you, they never tell you this, is how they're getting their traffic, right? This is something they never tell you. Now, I am not here to like fully advise and be like, oh yeah, I know how I'm going to tell you how to get traffic. I'm not going to fully say that, because I don't fully know. It depends on what you're doing. But I've mentioned before, and just at the beginning I mentioned it too, and I've mentioned it multiple times talking about podcasting. I hire people out to get traffic, to me. And you want quality traffic, and, you want people who are interested. You don't want just any old traffic, right? You don't just want any old thing. You don't just want any random person, like, trying to, get you traffic. You don't want just some random thing. That's not what you want. You want valuable traffic, because there's traffic that is never going to convert, right? You don't want traffic of people that aren't even interested. It's like, say for example, if you're paying someone to drive traffic to your site, but you find out that the way they're driving traffic is they're spamming your podcast link on, I don't even think you can put links in YouTube comments anymore. Maybe you can, but excuse me, I feel like they've kind of cracked down on that. But I could be wrong. Maybe you can put those in, but I don't think you can. But say if somebody's just like spamming your links, all over the place, or putting it on like the dark web or something weird where people are like trying to scam you or like hack into your business and stuff, and that's how you're getting traffic. I mean, you want to make sure the traffic that they're sending you is, people who at the very least care about the topic. Even if they're never going to convert, I would rather have somebody who like has an interest in the topic that shows up every so often, but I'm not a get rich quick person. I've talked about it. I'm the slow burn. I'm the what do you call it? Like what do you call those things when you're like for people who smoke, you'll know what I mean. They have these like wicks. It's like a slow burn wick. So instead of using like a lighter or a match, matches burn quick, lighters you kind of have to keep it on. And then they have these slow burn wicks. I guess there's something about them that's like better for the environment. Somewhat. I mean, like, I feel like with lighters, there's something wrong with them against the environment, but I feel like you're also not using it that much, I feel like. But also I get it, like every little bit counts. So I know people who like transition over to using like wicks when they smoke, and that's kind of how I would describe my process of doing things. It's like a slow burn wick. Like you're still gonna get the result, but the quality's gonna be there, and you're not damaging things along in the process, even if it's little bits and pieces at a time. That's kind of how I would describe the methods that I like to use. I don't mind if it takes a year. I'd rather take a year to build something than take 2 weeks with the momentum, drop a whole lot of money, see like some kind of immediate result, but there's no backbone to it. It's like empty results. Because people can get you, not just traffic, people can get you customers, but are they long-term customers? I would recommend for anybody who is trying to go into freelancing, side business, side hustle, small business, I would recommend to learn at least some basics about sales. Course Careers has a great program that helped me a lot. It even helps me with work, with the job that I do, with outreach and stuff like that. Like there's, discovery. Well, this isn't what I do at work, but like, you learn about discovery calls, you learn about the research behind the, profile of the customer that you're trying to serve, and you outreach to these people and you try to get them to basically pay for your work. So that's another way to get traffic to your page. Now that's not passive. If you're the one doing sales calls, that's not passive. That's not passive work if you're doing sales calls. Just to let you know. If you're the one doing the calls, that's not going to be passive. You're getting individual customers. Maybe they're repeat. Maybe it's a subscription that they're paying you for, where they pay a monthly subscription for a certain amount of blog posts or for a certain amount of video edits or whatever it is that you're, promoting. You can make a team. You can make a team of people to promote you can make a team of people to promote your business. You can have people who are making the sales calls, people who are making discovery calls. I used to intern for a place that, I was basically, I think I've talked about this. I was part of the team that was researching, I think it was spas. We were looking for spas in certain, I don't think they had to even be in certain areas, maybe metropolitan. I don't really remember, honestly. But say it was metropolitan spas in the U.S. And basically I was doing research and, building, a contacts list, kind of like trying to generate leads through Instagram. That's a good place to do it, because a lot of businesses have like a link tree in their bio or whatever it is. They usually link to their website, and it's pretty straightforward. You can find businesses pretty quickly on there, and there's not a lot of fluff. You're not like paying for a whole lot of other stuff. So I did like that part, but a lot of it takes like organization and practice. You have to be disciplined, practice, and don't be afraid to get on the phone. You got to get out of your head about it. You're gonna it takes a while, it takes practice to ease into things, but you can have a script, figure out what kind of works best for you, or an email script or whatever. But the thing is, people don't want to be on the phone. Like you yourself, unless you're the type of person who loves to just like cold call people, a lot of times people don't want to be on the phone. And I think that is a big factor of why people sometimes don't get a lot of sales. They don't get a lot of customers because they're like, I'm afraid of the phone, I'm nervous. I don't want my roommates to overhear me. I don't want my family to overhear me on the phone, just like calling, not getting any customers. And I don't know if it's the most efficient method, because a lot of times these days, sites do screen people out, but you can always email. I would say you can, in addition to calling, use social media, contacting, like DMs and calling and email. I would say see where they are at the most, but definitely make calls too. You can be like, I left you a voicemail at this number on this date, I can see your site might need this work, or I can see your videos could benefit from this. How about a free trial? I'll do this. I'll do 2 30-second shorts. I'll edit 2 30-second shorts for you for no cost. And the third one, you can pay minimal, however much you think is worth it. So say if you're going for like a $25 an hour rate of what you're charging, and you give somebody a freebie where they're only paying $25 for one of the 3, but at least you're getting paid, if you don't know people, potentially do it up front. You need to figure out up front how many edits you want to do, because people, I've talked about this before. Sometimes when you're working for people, when you're working for another person's business, you start to recognize, not the flaws, I'm not trying to be negative about it, but you start to notice the ways that you're different. So for example, you might have a creative style or a creative method that your customer is not interested in you using. Maybe they don't like, for example, I watched a video yesterday about, I think it was like it was like a Chabad, a Jewish guy that's connected with Chabad, and I think he was giving a tour of Crown Heights or something. I don't remember where, like in New York, and they passed the 770 building, and he gave like a tour. He was just giving like a tour to people of different like bakeries, like hat shops, wig shops, different types of shops, like kosher, talking about how, the kosher food, process looks, and like all types of topics about Judaism and things like that. And I'm watching this video, and I'm not trying to knock him, but like the creative style that went into the subtitles. First of all, you can't turn off the subtitles because they were the types of subtitles that are like just somebody embedded them in the video. And then every time there was like a subtitle coming on, it would make this little blip noise, blip, 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 blip. So it was just like, it wasn't that noise, it was more like, and it was like every time there was a new sentence or something, it was just like while the guy was talking, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, is this necessary? Like, great video, but if somebody made a video like that for me and that was their editing, I would be like, this is annoying. Like, this is annoying, please take it out, you know, please make it stop, you know, because it was the whole video, and you couldn't even turn off the subtitles, you couldn't turn off that sound effect. And so imagine, like, because sometimes I like to listen to videos, like, say if I'm on a long drive or just like cleaning the house or something, I'm maybe not listening, I'm maybe not watching the video visually, but some things I still might like to listen to in the background. And I can't imagine having that in the background without being able to read the subtitles and just hearing that little popping sound all the time. I don't think I would have been able to get through that whole video. But very good video. I mean, watching it actually didn't start annoying me till quite a while into the episode, or into that video. I started noticing, like, wow, like, this is a very annoying sound, and it's every single time there's a new subtitle line, it's like, like, you just have to listen to it over and over and over. But that's what I mean by, like, stylistic differences or like creative differences. Like, if somebody makes you a video and it has something like that in it, or sorry, if you're the one making the video and that's like your creative process, and you do that maybe for all the videos that you edit, and it's just a thing that you do and you don't really want to budge on it, and your customer might be like, no, I don't like that sound, like, take out the sound, take out the subtitles, put in subtitles that people can remove, whatever it is that the customer wants. I mean, how long do you want to go back and forth about edits? And you call the shots on that. I would say call the shots early on and be like, I'll do 2 edits, 2 types of edits per video. I mean, that's a lot. Because say if you made a whole video like that with subtitles and that blipping sound, you'd have to go back in, take out all the subtitles for every frame. You'd have to go back in, take out that sound, that audio sound effects for like every freaking frame where they have the subtitles. And that's maybe, let's call that 2 types of edits, because it's a sound edit and what do you call it? Like a text edit. I don't know. However you're categorizing your edits. 2 types of edits. Either 2 per category, 2 within the same category, or within 2 separate categories. So, I don't know. I don't do video editing, but I'm just making up examples here. Say if somebody had a video where that's what they were editing, you know, and then the person, you know, your customer is like, okay, you did those 2 types of edits on all 3 of the videos, where, mind you, they're only paying you $25 at this point for 3 samples, but 2 free samples, but 1 paid for $25, which is your discounted rate. And say each 30-second video is supposed to take you 1 hour, and your minimum rate that you're willing to get paid is $25 for 1 video, but usually maybe you want to go more than 1. How much money do you want to make an hour? $40 an hour? Is that fair? And you're giving this person basically 2 free things, but now you have to go back in. How long is it going to take you to edit all that, right? And say you do those 2 types of edits, the text and the audio edit, on 3 videos. That's 6 types of edits. After you've already put in an hour work for each one, that's a 30-second, you know, short. Do you really want them being like, oh, you know, I want you to put like fade out, fade in, fade out, you know, for every frame. I want you to put my logo in there and put this and that, like stuff that wasn't even discussed at first. And you can be going back and forth about this these 30-second videos for like months. Mind you, if you're lucky or if business is good, maybe you're accruing business in the process, and now you have other paying customers, but you still have this one free trial person. This just like on and on and on about these like 30-second videos where they're only paying you $25. It's like, how much is $25 worth? So I would say, if somebody's paying you more, I mean, I've seen people say unlimited edits, but I have learned my lesson on that when I used to do websites, logos, blogs for people, and just set everything up through like WordPress or Blogger and all that kind of stuff. I have learned my freaking lesson that you do not do that, because I've had people giving me the runaround for months. You know, I was working for my friends, a friend of someone that one of my friends knew, which was already a bad deal because this was a friend, not a close friend, more like a friend of a friend, but still, business with friends can be tricky. This person ended up not paying me for, I think, the third job I did. They never paid. And this was back in the day. They were paying me like $100 cash a day, but for 8 hours of work a day. And just sitting over my shoulder, like watching me work the whole time. And like, oh, change this, change that, change this, change that. And then when I was not even working, like between the days when I would come back, like maybe I came like once every other weekend for like a Sunday or something like that, a whole Sunday. And back then, $100 for me was fine, because I was like, dude, make $100 on a Sunday, like that was cool for me. And this is like pre-inflation, pre even the 2008 crash, I think, or maybe it was like right during that crash. But it was back when I probably would have been making about $15 an hour or so. And I got like a free buffet lunch out of it every time. Like the 8 hours included like a pretty hefty lunch that was on them. But there wasn't good communication, and like they just wanted me working all the time, which is fine. I don't mind working all the time, but pay me, you know? Like if you're giving me $100 cash for doing the job on site, and you're calling me in between during the 2-week period, you're calling me, oh, do this to my site, oh, do that, oh, do this, oh, do that. And you have some other person from your company calling me, telling me what to do, and you guys aren't on the same page, and I'm following this other person now, and then everything they told me was wrong, and then I come back in, and they're like, oh, I want you to redo everything and cancel all the other stuff because, like, what you did was wrong. And I'm like, but that's what the person you told me to follow their instructions, that's what they told me they wanted to do. They gave me a bunch of stuff to copy paste onto the website, and they're like, no, we don't want it on the website. So now it's like, go back in and delete it. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, so I mean, people don't really know what they want sometimes, and you don't want to get involved with a customer that doesn't know what they want, or they're not far enough along in the process to be, you know, they're not far along in the process to be able to guide you the way that they want you to do things. Like, for example, I've talked about this before, but like this person who I was doing work for, I don't even think they knew the name of their company. And so imagine, how do you set up a blog? How do you set up a logo for a company that changes their name twice a month? You know, it's like, if your company, if this person's company's name is ABC, right? That's your customer's company name. You know, all the business cards are going to have the logo. All the website, blog, everything is going to have this logo all over it, right? The logo that has their, you know, ABC, whatever ABC stands for, A Better Company. That's what the name of their company is A Better Company. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out what ABC would stand for. But say that's what ABC stands for, a better company. And you're trying to help this ABC company. And now their name is XYZ. They want XYZ instead. No, I don't want ABC. Make a logo for XYZ, change the website. So now you got this abc.com website, blog, YouTube channel, all their social media is ABC. They want you to change it all to XYZ after you purchase the domain and all. It's like they don't understand how it works. And so, to try to tell them, okay, but you're going to have to pay for me to change all this other stuff. They think it's just like a word processor where you just edit the words. It's like, no, this stuff is locked in. You have content running, you have followers on your on your website now. You can't just change your name. It's like a completely different brand now. Maybe they're performing the same services, but it's like sometimes people don't notice. They don't know what you are doing as the person working. They don't know what your business provides, and they're gonna, I've been with customers where it's like we never get past the phase of them figuring out what their business name is or their logo and all this, and it's like, how can I even make your website or do anything for you if you don't know your name? Or or people, and it can be an anxiety thing, it can be an indecisiveness thing. They want it to be perfect, and it's like, meantime, in my head, I'm thinking well, you're losing out on all this time of being able to get customers. I understand there are times where, maybe you find a better brand name that, could potentially gain more organic traffic, more than if you kind of do some research, A/B testing, whatever it is, and you realize, maybe they realize, ABC really isn't that good. XYZ actually is getting so much more organic traffic. I made a blog for this friend of mine who was getting really great organic traffic on a blog that he made, and I was like, well, let me just make you a better blog. But I think I don't remember what he was using, but I made him a WordPress blog, and I guess he didn't really know how to use WordPress. But I was just thinking man, all the opportunities. I made a really good blog once too that got a lot of good organic traffic in the hearing sciences field, with statistics. I had a really good blog that I made, and I actually want to bring it back just because the traffic was so good. But things like that. Sometimes it does make logical sense to switch something so drastically, but it's sometimes people will just be you'll be in that editing phase on that $25 for months with some people if you don't put a limit on it. You got to put a limit on it. Unlimited sounds nice, but if they're only paying you $25 and you're giving them freebies, people will try to take advantage of that. People will try to underpay you. You know what you're worth. The free trial stuff kind of puts the foot in the door. It kind of gets the ball rolling a little bit, gets the momentum, gets you kind of in the process of doing the work. You could even up the price, after a certain point and be like, hey, the rates are higher now, you got to pay more. Or they have to buy the subscription first, and then they get, within the first week, that's what they get. So they have to pay for the subscription, then they're going to get charged or something after the free trial. Maybe that's how you do it, a 3-day trial, and then by 7 days you'll submit the work. But on the 7th day they get charged, or the 6th day, whatever, they get charged for a monthly fee, where it's maybe you're submitting work for them once a week, and you're only doing one 30-second short once a week. I mean, these are just brainstorm ideas that come to my mind, where it's this is kind of what it looks like. And I know I'm not going in a very linear order, but I think sometimes just talking about things, I think that's why I want to do this, is because some people like to just hear people talk about what it looks like. I'm not here to tell people oh, you're going to get rich quick if you do this or do that. And then, you're going to start making all this money. I mean, it's possible to make money, but trying to make money with no traffic, I don't know. I haven't seen that happen very often. Like, if you're trying to make money online with no traffic, and you're not even going, like, the route of, like, the in-person, hard copy flyers, business cards to the house doorstep, or put the little rubber band on the doorknob or whatever. If you're doing, like, tree trimming or power washing or those types of jobs, that's a little easier to scope. You can kind of scope that out a little bit easier sometimes. But then again, that's footwork. I think the benefits of online is that you don't have footwork involved. You're not spending your gas. You're not printing out, spending ink or money on printing out professional flyers. But sometimes, depending on your field, that might be the touch that you need. I haven't really seen people do door-to-door with, like, social media management and stuff like that. Because I don't know, like, how would you tell if somebody needs your help? But I feel like a lot of people might want something like that, especially when the new year runs around. A lot of people do I have noticed people starting, like, small businesses and side hustles and stuff on the new year, or before, like, Cyber Monday or Black Friday. People want a site up so that they can hopefully, get a whole bunch of sales in, because that is, like, a big ticket time of, like, making a lot of sales online, a lot of impulse buying. People, I mean, like, things have kind of calmed down. It's not like it used to be where, like, everyone would be waiting outside, lines around the corner, and people getting, like, trampled into the Walmart, waiting overnight after Thanksgiving or whatever. Like, I haven't seen that in quite a few years. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but it's just not, I think people are different with their money, and people buy stuff online now too. So unless the deal is that good in store, a lot of times I haven't really seen that lately, but that is something to consider. Let me see. When it comes to, people, like, people trying to, what am I trying to say here? Sorry, I'm drinking this energy drink. It's getting close to 1 p.m. and 12 is my cutoff, and I started drinking a little bit of it around 12:15. So, I don't want to drink enough that it's gonna drink so much that it's gonna make me need the bathroom before I get home. But I don't want to drink so little that I feel like I want to drink more, because I still gotta work when I get home. I still gotta work till 5. But, geez, this person. Yeah, all the lanes have traffic, buddy. Like, it doesn't matter which one you swerve into. We're all just gonna be sitting here. It's LA. It's the 405. This is how you do it. You podcast, or you listen to a podcast, or whatever. Like, you're not getting there any faster. I don't know. I hate it, though, because I know what it's like to be in a rush. So I feel for people when I see them, like, trying to get somewhere faster, and it's like, I've been there, where you're like, dude, if I could just buy 5 minutes because I left too late, or because something happened, or whatever the reason why things are running a little bit late. You can kind of feel it when somebody's, like, tailgating somebody and they're, like, swerving in and out of, like, gridlock traffic. It's like they're in a rush, but, like, I feel bad for them. It's like there's nothing any of us can do about this for you. Or maybe they need the bathroom or something. Like, I've been in so many different scenarios where traffic is just, I don't know. Ideally, you just want to be able to sit in the traffic and just get from point A to point B and just move on with your day without being hungry or tired or drowsy or too stressed out or in too much of a rush or anything. You just want to be able to do what you got to do. So yeah, I think that's one thing, that's one thing that you could, consider. Now, replace everything I said about the 30-minute shorts. Replace all of that with whatever it is that you are trying to get into or trying to start. I wouldn't say you always have to have the skills to do things. I mean, if you're charging people, by the time you're charging people, you need to know what you're doing. But you don't always have to have the skills. I mean, you can offer services for free for a little bit and just kind of get feedback. Also to note, a lot of online social media management related types of jobs change. So that for me is probably the most complex thing about it, is like learning something new. Like, you guys have heard me. Like, I try not to just be like going off about it, but it's like, these platforms, man, they will take your money. You will have money rolling in, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, no more money for you. Oh wait, you got flagged for this. Oh wait, like, for whatever reason, they just decide to like drop you, or switch it up on you, or like do a flip turn reverse on you, or whatever you want to call it. And then it's like, you go from money 1 month to all of a sudden no money. Now you got to figure it out, so it's really hard to rely. It's very hard to just like fully rely on a lot of these places, on a lot of these platforms. It's not impossible, but it's hard. It is definitely hard to rely on trying to get your financial needs met forever through social media management, or forms of it, smaller forms of it. Even if you're doing like within one area, even if you're only doing 30-second shorts edits, even if you're only doing TikTok posts or X or whatever, or X, Twitter, whatever, even if you're only doing a certain thing, platforms change, and you can easily go from making money to not making money. So I would recommend, on that end, trying to make sure that you have money coming in otherwise. What I mean by that is not just work, Ubering, Lyfting, Uber Eats, Grubhub, whatever kind of side hustle work, full-time work, whatever. But for example, if I have a podcast and the podcast is naturally monetized by me being able to access subscriptions, and I'm able to get subscribers, and I'm barely hitting the minimum amount of downloads that I need for a 60-day period with Spotify for podcasters, and then they up it and they're like, oh, you don't need 100 every 60 days, you need 1,000 every 60 days. And it's like, well, I was barely getting 105, and now you want me to get like 10 times the amount that I was already getting, in 60 days. You got to figure it out, And like, I don't know if they usually put out like announcements about that kind of stuff or warnings. I don't really know. But multiple platforms are this way. YouTube is this way. Remember when YouTube, if you're old enough to remember using YouTube, when you used to be able to just monetize your YouTube channel. You didn't have to do anything special. You just click the button and it monetized you. And unless you got canceled or flagged, or your account was deleted for some like copyright issue or something, you usually were pretty good to go. You usually had quite a bit of ability to kind of get pretty much what you were gonna need. as far as monetization. And then they changed it, and they're like, oh, well, you have to have this many subscribers now. And then I think they changed it again, and they're like, well, now you have to have this amount of subscribers and have been on for this amount of time. So you couldn't just start monetizing out the gate. You had to wait and, build. And a lot of platforms are that way. So a lot of times I would say, if you're starting out on a platform where it's free to monetize, just be careful, because I wouldn't fully depend on that anymore. I mean, if it's working, it's working, but in the future, they might just tell you, oh, now you have to meet this certain criteria. And then in like 6 months from that point, they might up the criteria, and then they might up the criteria. And now, as a person who is trying to monetize, you might have to start paying a subscription to them, Medium. You might have to pay a subscription to them to be in the ambassadors program, to be able to make money. I mean, even if it's Medium has a $5 subscription that you have to pay if you want to be able to make money off of your writing. Medium has that as something that you need to be doing. So say, for example, on Medium, if you got 15,000 people reading one of your blog posts, but you weren't paying that $5 a month, that's not going to count towards, whatever the minimum amount of readers you need for the month or the 2 months or whatever their period of time is, and whatever their criteria is. It's not going to count towards it because you didn't pay the $5 subscription, so therefore you're not part of the ambassadors program, and therefore you are not able to monetize your content that way. So I'm saying all that to say, maybe try not to only depend on platforms monetizing for you. You want other avenues of monetization. It's easy to just talk about it, but in practice, it's not the easiest thing. But you do want other methods. And so that's kind of all I'd really say about that point is, try to get different avenues, so that if something changes where you were barely hitting the minimum, if something changes within that realm, you can adjust. You want to be able to adjust. So that's something to keep in mind. You want to be able to adjust to what's going on with the platforms, and not be like, okay, the 30th of the month hits and you get your regular $3,000 paycheck or whatever, then the next month starts and all of a sudden you're no longer monetized and you have to build from some point again or something. That happens with platforms if you're just relying on platform monetization. So you would want to take something and, either use, I talked about it last time, potentially using something like Patreon, or even having your own link tree with, different sites that you can link to, different customers, different things that customers can purchase, Etsy, whatever that looks like. You want something else. You want something different, so that you're not completely left with $0 at the beginning of the next month, or trying, because the thing is, if you have to wait a 60-day period to qualify, that means you're not getting paid that month. You're not going to get paid for at least 2 months all of a sudden, and that could be an all of a sudden thing. So you want something to fall back on, even if it's not your own site. You just have to take into consideration every now and then you might have to just rebuild from scratch. Not completely from scratch, but you might have to do some rebuilding of some form. Every so often that happens. Every few years, every couple years. It's not like it's every 3 months or something. You're probably not going to have to do that a lot, but when the economy crashes, which it does do every so often, a lot of these platforms start to change their tune about all the free stuff they offer, and they make things a little more stringent, And when things get more popular, it's a little more stringent. Like podcasting, pre 2020 pre 2020 was more of a rare form of, YouTube was video only. I don't think we'd really gone too much into short form yet. I don't really remember the timeline of things, but anyways, what I'm trying to say is podcasting, I wonder if it's going to become oversaturated. And it's like, lately I've been recording about podcasting, and I've been recording about, growing podcasts and things like that, and trying to hit angles that other people aren't hitting. I feel like I'm one of the only people out there that's trying to, like, address other angles. Like, you guys tell me if I'm wrong. If you listen to enough of this type of content, that, when you go to listen to people talking about how to build your podcast, how to get more listeners, more downloads, or whatever, they're all saying the same thing. And I'm not saying that those things don't work, but it's like, they work for now. But again, all of it's a long game. Unless you already have access to traffic or know how you're going to get traffic, keep that in mind. It's going to be a long game. Don't listen to these people telling you that it's going to be a short thing. It's not going to be short. It's not going to be short because you're not going to have anybody visiting your site, and you're not going to have anybody buying stuff from you or purchasing, whether it's a store or your services or your time or your energy or consultations or whatever your customers are purchasing from you. If you don't have anybody visiting your website and buying from your website, or buying from, I don't know, they're Venmoing you, from a phone call, and they Venmo you or something, I don't really know. But if you don't have people paying you in some manner, if you don't have people coming to you, answering the phone calls, calling you back, responding, if you don't have anybody, even listening or watching or viewing, I mean, where are all these make $1 million in 3 days kind of situations going to happen? How are you going to make $1 million in 3 days if you have no money to put into traffic, guys? And it needs to be appropriate traffic. But a lot of the people who are talking about these get-rich-quick schemes, they don't tell you, they dropped like $300,000 on their Shopify store for traffic, and that's why they're making, $500,000. And when people use the terms, how do they word it? They don't say, I made $500,000 or I made $1 million. They say, I'm blanking on the word. They say, I did $500,000. I did $1 million. Well, usually I'm thinking when people use that word, what I translate that to mean is they're not talking profits. They're talking, revenue. They're talking all the money that they made before they take out all the costs. So how much are they paying for their website per month? They dropped $300,000. So say if somebody says, I did $500,000 in 3 days. Okay, you can do that. But they forget to leave out the main thing, that they dropped $300,000 within that 3 days for some quick traffic towards their Shopify store so that people could purchase whatever the viral item was that they're trying to make something seem viral. They dropped $300,000 for traffic for 3 days. It's probably not going to be 3 days if they're dropping that much money. It's probably going to be a slower burn with that money for advertising and all that. But we'll get into digital advertising and sales a little bit into the summer, a little bit more into the summer, because I do want to still touch on those topics. I didn't know there was a Sam Ash over here and it's closing. What the heck? I don't know, whatever. But yeah. So yeah, you want to know how much things cost. You're going to want to know how much things cost. You're going to want to know, I don't don't know. Like, you want to know what they paid. What did they pay? What was the cost that came out of their pocket? They pay for a Shopify store. That's what, like $30-$40 a month. Maybe you get the first month free, but say they pay for their Shopify store up front. That's $30-$40 or so. Let's say they pay for $300,000 traffic. Let's say they pay for a domain name. Let's give it a cheap $20 a year domain name where you can, or let's say $40, and you keep it for 3 years for a domain name. They pay for a, I don't know, some kind of a store template or something. I don't know how much those run really, but let's say they pay someone on Fiverr $150 to run up a store for them. You see how this is adding up? And they're gonna go on YouTube and be like, in three days I did $500,000. Like, yeah, you did $500,000. You made less than $200,000. Which is still good. That's still, but then like also considering shipping, if they're shipping from home, or if they had to purchase products, if they're not drop shipping and they have like physical items, how much did they spend on product? How much did they spend on shipping? A lot of times they're not going to tell you any of this stuff. So they're making under 200,000, probably closer to like 50 after all the expenses, depending if they're drop shipping or not. If they're not drop shipping, and mind you, a lot of these stores are totally cracking down on drop shipping. A lot of these e-commerce platforms. So be careful if you're really trying to like invest a lot into drop shipping. Be dang careful about it. Be careful, because you might not be able to get what you think you're trying to get out of it. It might not work out, because they're trying to cut down for scam reasons, and because I think they're losing. There's money probably being lost along the line somewhere. So yeah, there's money kind of being lost there. So, or potentially being lost there. So I don't know. Like, I can't really tell people what to do, but these are just, with experience, these things come up. And I don't want people to, like, I bought this course and I'm trying to make, because people want to make money. They want to make money. They need to make money. It's important now. I don't want anybody losing any money that they can't make back, So I would recommend, honestly, in all honesty, if you don't have a job right now and you have a car and you have insurance on your car, go do some Uber Eats if you can afford the gas, and recycle some of that money into your projects. Little by little. Don't drop hundreds or thousands of dollars. Little by little. You're doing little by little by little by little. And if you can't build up off of a few bucks here and there, you might try on occasion dropping a little more money into it, but I mean a little more. I probably out the gate, if I didn't know what I was doing and I was a complete noob, I would not drop even $500. Now, if you get like a tax refund or something, okay, let's play with it, maybe. If you get money from somewhere where it's like a birthday gift or whatever, like that's how I started doing things. I would do like Christmas money, birthday money, and I would pay for traffic, I would pay for hosting, I would pay for like whatever, I would pay for my little business expenses out of money that I got that I didn't have to work for. Bonuses. I remember at my old job, I used to get a quarterly bonus. It was $1,000, but after all the taxes and freaking all that, thank you California, it was 800 something. It ended up being like $880 or something. Maybe that's not the price. I think that was the price though. I don't remember. It was like $800 something. And I would just, every few months, that was the money I had for projects, unless I made extra money on top of that. And I was just recycling that money. I mean, you can make money with more risk, but you can also lose all your money buying a course from somebody who just wants your money. They're trying to sell you their course so that they can get your money. They don't care about the quality. I'm not sponsored by Biaheza. I don't know this guy. I've talked about him a lot because he's probably the first person I came across that got me motivated into these topics, and who I saw was successful, who, I tried, but sometimes I didn't fully commit. I'll be honest about that. I did not fully commit into doing what I said I was going to do when it came to stuff with Biaheza. I did not fully commit. And that was my fault. It was my fault, But I learned about getting traffic. I learned about, items, like how to use the sites, all this kind of stuff. I learned a lot. And it was worth the learning. Now Biaheza has that nonchalant podcast with some of his homies. I haven't seen a new episode. I'm not trying to knock him. I'm just saying I haven't seen a new episode. Maybe there's a new one now, but I think they went hard. They went hard pretty quick, posting almost weekly or something. And then I think they probably need more time to create more content. But, and just listening to people talk about money a lot, you start to realize a lot of people don't do things from scratch. Unless you really have a product or a service that's in so much need. Like in LA, if you were able to find housing for people, that would be such a needed service. I mean, yeah, there's real estate people that do that, but I mean, if you were just doing it, for low income people or something, because I know in with working in case management, that's definitely a need, and trying to connect people to mental health services. I mean, a lot of stuff you don't want to get all liably responsible, so I can't really recommend people do this, but you don't want to be all liable if somebody gets a bad therapist and ends up, not doing so well in life because of that. At least when you work for a company, if you're connecting people, if you work for a company and you're connecting people, you're going to be a little bit more, what do you call it? You're going to be a little bit more, how do I say it? You're protected, of course you're not trying to, perform low quality work or connect somebody with a low quality or bad service. But if something goes wrong, companies, case management companies have insurance for their workers and everything. You're not just flying solo, so you'd want to legally know your rights and have insurance and protection on your end. If you're really just trying to do good work and help people and get paid in the process, because you can't vouch for some people. If you're just doing freelance work and stuff, sometimes you just can't, you don't know for sure, which companies are good, which ones are bad, whatever, you don't know for sure. And if you're not licensed, there's certain work you kind of can't really do if you're not licensed. But I feel there's a lot of stuff that you could probably take and do that I notice comes up within case management or other types of work that you do, where there's you realize these themes and trends of things that maybe patients just don't know how to do. They don't know how to get a therapist, and a lot of people need a therapist lately and they don't know how to get one. A lot of people need housing resources and they don't know how to get connected with certain sites or what it's called. They need to know what the types of sites are called so that they can get like a housing coordinator and all these types of things. Like, they don't know what they need to do. You know, they don't really know. They don't understand that. And they probably don't have the money to pay you either. And so, I mean, the government doesn't have money to pay us as workers. So, like, you know, these clients, patients, they're not going to have money to really pay you if they're low income. But, so that's not really like a good business model necessarily to do like independently. But if you think about the work that you already do, you know, or hobbies you already do, you kind of already know the holes in the systems, or you already know the trends of what people actually need and what they actually want and what they don't want to do themselves and what's too cumbersome or tedious for them to do, you know, what they don't want to fix. You know, that's where you find work. You know, you do the things that other people don't want to do and they pay you to do it, or that they don't know how to do, or they don't want to learn how to do, and they just want to get on with serving their customers or whatever it is that they want to do, but they don't want to put in all the other work on the back end to do whatever the heck it is that your service is. So that's where you come in and you provide stellar, excellent, helpful services to people, and you kind of just like learn to do good in certain fields. But I think that's kind of what it looks like. To me anyways, that's kind of how it looks, you know, is, you know, do that work. Do that work, you know. And try and kind of you know, like figure out what you're doing, and don't get involved with all these like schemes. Don't get too overly excited and drop a whole bunch of money when you don't know what you're doing. I mean, it's different if you're hiring out another person who does know what they're doing for them to kind of like teach you or get the ball rolling for you. But if you can't vouch for these people, I mean, I've paid people off Fiverr or other sites like that to do work for me that was not good work, and I'm like, I could have probably done that myself, you know? Like, some people just don't do quality work. You know, I paid someone in the past to get traffic to a certain website for me, and they were getting traffic for me for a while for a different site, and then they put in a bunch of work, and I was like, I don't see the traffic increasing at all. Like, what's going on? And then I realized they were working on the old site. It's like, why are you working on the old site? I gave you the link for the new site. Like, why are we working on this old one? And so they were kind of doing the wrong work. Things like that, you know. I've interned for people who don't really know what they're trying to do, or don't really realize that they're using people, or, you know, don't pay you to work, or don't follow through, or ghost you, or just like stop responding. And it's like, this is your career, this is your, you know, your portfolio you're trying to build up, and you might have people who just are getting in your way more than if you just were able to just do the work yourself. You'd probably be fine. I can't believe it's almost 1:30. Dang. By the time I eat lunch, I'm not going to have much left of my day. I got so much work to do today, and I don't know if the time is on my side. But yeah, it helps to be off of the computer though, and just get some fresh ideas. I hope this is helpful. I know it's kind of just like free-flowing ideas, brainstorming, mostly talking about portfolios. I didn't really get into talking about like LLCs, but that's something I want to study up on. Any updates about like any kind of like new information about LLCs. I live in California. I think opening an LLC out here runs about $600 a year, and you get taxed like a lot, like 20%. And you get taxed all the time anyways. But it's something worth looking into, opening up an LLC. You can get like virtual mail and open up an LLC technically in another state. You just need to make sure that whatever you're doing as far as your business that's running through that state is legal through that state. So if you're doing something like cannabis related, you want to make sure you have all your legal licenses in place and stuff like that. But sometimes you can't sell, from other states, or you gotta pay attention to age ranges and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of stuff to really pay attention to. I do not know why there's so many people out. Is this usually what it's like? Is this usually what a Wednesday is like? Guys? Is this a normal Wednesday? Like, I thought traffic would die down because, like, the lunch breaks, past the lunch break, past 1 p.m., but we're, like, almost at 1:30, and there's still tons of people out on streets that I never see people. Like, this is, like, I basically drove through, like, 5 o'clock traffic at noon. Like, this is crazy. Oh, man, I can't even, like, understand what is going on here fully. I don't know, guys. But yeah, what do you think? Give me some input. Like, what do you think? Like, is it worth me recording these episodes? Just kind of like brainstorming episodes. Do you guys get value out of this? Because I feel like this is the kind of stuff I would have wanted to hear early on. But I'm not very organized with it because I'm kind of freestyling it all. But I mean, yeah, like, I definitely want to know, what are some points to maybe not fall into, some places to not fall into, to just avoid all the headaches that can come with, trying to make money. Because you're just trying to make money, usually. Or at least build a portfolio to a point where you can make money, or something along those lines. You're not trying to get screwed. You're not trying to, like, drop a bunch of cash that's not going to go anywhere. Usually you have a purpose of what you're doing. So, I don't know. You guys tell me. I kind of record more on what I see other people engaging with, and so if you seem to like it and I see people engaging with it, then I'm probably going to keep posting about it, which is why on occasion I post these episodes. But I'm where I need to be. I need to get in and get on with my day. But alright. Oh, it wasn't an hour 30, it was an hour 12. That's right, because I left at 1:12. Or 12:12. And it's 1:28, 1:29 right now. Alright, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Take care. Bye.